Hello, my love, and welcome to Seen, the podcast that helps you to stop hiding, claim your worth, and build the most vibrant version of your life possible. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to welcome my next guest, Lauren Evans, who is a client of mine. And why I wanted to bring her on is to share the journey that she had to go through to have success in her business, because it was almost like a personality upgrade that you need to have. And I really wanted to peel back the curtains on that. And so Lauren Evans, she is a CFO. She works in Inline Partners. She's an accountant by day, but then she's also a financial coach. And she helps business owners through her program, Finance Like a Boss, bring in more profit and optimize their business. And Lauren, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And I really wanted to have you on today because I feel like a lot of people can resonate with your story. And I feel like people see the, 25% increase in your audience in 3 weeks and like 10X your pricing, 37K pipeline. And it's like, wow, I want that. And it was like very quick once that all came together. But I've watched your journey over the past couple of months, and you have literally stepped into just an up-leveled version of yourself, and you've come through so many things like money mindset, your how you actually think about things, how you feel self-worth. Like there's been so many things. So I want to bring it right back to the beginning, right back to when you and I first met. Yes. We had a call. You really wanted to go all in on your business. You were sick of trading time for money, working as an accountant, trading time for money. You wanted to go all in on your own thing and have your coaching practice. And at that point, you were so excited to do that, but also there was a lot of resistance. Like when we first started working together.
Yes. I think it was uncertainty. It's probably unsure of myself, I think is probably the right words.
Okay. So take me back, like paint a picture. What was going through your head like when we first met? What were the fears? What were you thinking? What did you think you needed to do?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing was just not trusting myself. It was something that I really wanted to do. And I've, tried some marketing and things like that before and nothing ever worked. And so I was really unsure of betting on myself this time as opposed to just outsourcing everything to someone else. I was like, if they can't do this well, then how am I supposed to do it for myself? And so it was just taking that big leap of faith to myself and saying, yes, you can do this. And I think the other thing that made me a little unsure as well is just I think because I was unsure if things were going to work, I was also nervous about talking about that with other people because I didn't want to make it real and then fail. And so, like, for example, with my business partners at Inline Partners, I kind of was like, I don't really want to talk about it because we've had these failures in marketing in the past. And I didn't really want to be another failure and have my brand and my face as part of that. So I kind of was doing all this stuff in the background, unsure and, scared to bet on myself.
Yeah, playing it safe. And I see this so much with people that I talk to because they're scared to fail. There is no certainty. Sure. And I think sometimes you have this illusion that people that have made it or people that are successful, they've had that certainty, but they didn't. They also took that chance on themselves. But you were kind of bruised in a way because you had done these things. It's not like you hadn't tried. You had tried and it hadn't worked. And so when that happens again and again and again, it's very hard to not internalize that and think there's something wrong with me and there's something actually not right here with me. So looking back now to where you are now, because obviously you've come so far, you've increased your prices, you're bringing in clients, things are working so well for you. What would you say to that version of you back then?
I'd probably say what I said to myself back then anyway, which is just do it. You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Take it, jump all in, bet on yourself. And so I think what I said to myself then to get myself to take the step is exactly what I would say.
Mm-hmm. And what would you how would you describe that in more detail? Because I think a lot of people here take the step, bet yourself. What tangibly has shifted for you?
I think stop thinking about it so much. Just do the things. They're sitting there and thinking about it and not acting on those thoughts is what holds people back, I think. And so I would say just, if you're not sure of what the next step is yourself, get someone to help you with what the next step is. Talk about it. I have business besties that I talk with all the time, other people that, are going to help you expand as a person and expand as a business person, and people that are doing what you want to do, like, you know, having that support networking and seeing what's possible, I think is really important.
Okay, so this is like a really good conversation, because for anyone that is listening that feels like, oh my God, I'm doing so much, ask yourself, are you actually doing so much tangibly, or are you thinking so much?
Exactly, exactly.
Because sometimes it's like, I'm doing so much, but actually you're just literally thinking, and it's draining. That is using your mental energy. Like, that is draining when you're thinking about all the things that you have to do, and then you feel like, I'm doing so much, I'm thinking about it all the time, I can't switch off. But like, actually, what's the output?
Yeah, that's right, 100%.
Would you agree?
Yeah,
like, was that you back then?
Definitely.
Did you see that at the time, though?
I think for me at the time is probably, I'm an action taker, I think, as you would know.
Yes.
I take all the actions, but it's about the right actions.
Yeah.
It's about them being strategic. It's about not listening to other people of what their actions are. And I also think it's about, like, when I say the right actions, I'm shiny object syndrome person.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll do this thing for a little bit, and then I'll get bored of it, and then I'll go and do something else. And so it's about, that's something I've been working really hard on, is making sure that I do the same thing consistently, because that's what I find works. It's like, you know, just something as simple as my newsletter, which I've probably been doing for 6 months now. That's a long time for me, because you know, it's like, oh, I'm bored with that, I'll move on to something else. Yep. Or the other thing I've been thinking about the newsletter lately is, I don't get that validation back. Like, people don't reply to your newsletter and go, oh, I really loved your story. Like, I do get that every now and again, don't get me wrong, but you don't get this validation every time you do these small things, and it only compounds over time. And so the last couple of weeks, I have had people call me up and say, hey, I've been seeing your newsletter and I'm really enjoying that. And my response to them is, thank you for telling me, because I sometimes feel like I'm doing all this stuff going into the abyss. It's like no one's listening to me. But I think you can't look at things happening around you and want people to validate you. You need to validate yourself and know that you're on the right path. Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important to have people in your corner, because they can say to you, hey, why are you doing that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. You sometimes get in your own head. You're doing all the wrong things instead of the right things. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, and that's why I love, like, being that person for people, because I can be like that too, and I need reining in as well, you know. So I love being able to be like, no, stop that right now.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, this is what you're doing this week, you know.
Exactly.
And like, for you, because, you know, I just watched you grow so much, and like, even just things like putting out ads and putting out content, and as soon as you did, like, you were like getting all these deals in, all these, like your pipeline was filled, but you were still, there was a fear there. I could tell, you know, because it was more just like a procrastination because of the fear, because you are an action taker. Yes. And so anytime then I saw that, like, you weren't taking action, it's like, okay, there's something behind this. Like, what is that, you know? Yes. And so there's a few things that I think we kind of worked on. Like, one that I'm fascinated by that I want to dive into is, like, obviously as a CFO, you're charging, you know, and you're in the accounting firm, you're charging corporates like thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Like, you're no beginner in that area. But then when it came to selling your own services, like, it was a couple of $100s. And so one of the first things we did together was like create a high ticket package that was like 10x that price, which now you're selling easily. But back then you were like a bit like resistant, like, will anyone buy that? Yes.
And I think that definitely comes down to mindset, because what I'm used to for the last 10 years of my career is charging my time as time. It's like, my time is my value. Yeah. But actually my value is my experience and my knowledge, and having to shift away from the thing, my physically sitting at a desk doing a thing. Yeah. Compared to, hey, this is what you should be doing strategically, or hey, this is what I can help provide your business with to grow, you know, those types of, it's like, you know, I have so much experience in life, business that I can give, but it's like, that's value as opposed to time.
Yeah, you're not sitting there slaving away. And a lot of people feel like, if I'm not slaving away, then I can't charge the money. And I see that all the time, especially with women. And it's like, no, as you said, it's the value, the output. Are they getting the result? Because if they are, that's all anyone cares for. No one wants to sit in a Zoom call with you for 3 hours. Like, seriously, no one wants to do that. It's about what the outcome is that they get. But that is something that you have to feel like I can tell you that,
Yeah,
and I did tell you that, but you still have
You
to
have to feel
internalize that, and
comfortable.
it did take a few weeks to like get a couple of sales in and do that. So it's like, you know, was it just like seeing that people were having that response that gave you more trust, or how would you, like, if someone's listening and they know they're undercharging, what would you say to them?
I think, yeah, it was, for me, I'm a very logical person, and I think that's why it was also hard for me to trust that people would pay that, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
and I guess the other thing for me is it's a bit of a balancing act for me as well, because part of the reason I have started my coaching business is because I really want to help business owners. And so I have this juggling act in my mind of me helping someone, you know, then I can't benefit out of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas actually I think if I don't benefit, then you end up resenting it and you don't want to do it.
100%. And then
And
you
so-
can't help anyone anymore because
Correct.
you've burnt down your business.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm learning that balance, and,
Yeah.
and I think for me every day, and I don't think I'm ever going to just be fully comfortable with like, hey, I'm going to charge you millions and millions of dollars for whatever it is.
and
I'm never going to be comfortable.
It's
because,
still
yeah,
an approachable
this-
amount that you're charging. It's not like
Correct.
it's crazy, but it's like
yeah,
a fair
but
amount.
I think the fair amount now matches my feelings towards what I'm providing, and therefore, you know, I've taken away that barrier of resentment, and it's like it's now a fair exchange of I'm going to help you grow your business. Like they're not going to get nothing out of it. It's actually an investment.
100%. You get them all that profit back, and that's the thing. That's what people care about. Like, can you help me get more profit? Can you unlock more savings? Like, what can you do? I don't care if I'm sitting on a Zoom call one-on-one with you, or you're doing like my reconciliation. AI can do that. I want the knowledge.
Correct.
And I think as we're going into that era now of like having AI take away a lot of that time for money stuff, it's like really about capitalizing on what that knowledge is. But yeah, there's so much to kind of unpack there, and one of them is also the messaging around that, because you said something important there about, you know, I want to help people, and a lot of women that I speak to are like, I just really want to help people and I don't want to charge them. You attract what you put out.
Correct.
And so if you want to attract someone that you actually want to help, you can't help people that have no interest in helping themselves. You can enable them. If you want to be an enabler, sure, charge $5 and you'll get all the people wanting you to just sort their life out. But if you want to actually make a real change and not just enable, and you need to find people that are committed as well. And if you're not paying, you are not really valuing what you're getting.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
so
know
true.
that was playing out with you as well. Like some leads that were coming through and some inquiries on the lower pricing, like they weren't that serious. And so how can you do your best work?
Yeah, exactly.
So speak to that a little bit. Like,
yeah. So I think when we first started working together, that's exactly what was happening is I would have people come to me and they want a quick fix. They don't want to do the work. And what I realised upon reflection was that was about the message I was giving. I was like, I have a quick fix for you, and it's cheap. Like you don't even have like. Whereas now that I've kind of, you know, through us working together, I'm like, my messaging needs to reflect the people that I want to work with, exactly like what you just said. You know, if I want to work and create high value business owners and high value businesses with the business owners, then I need to change my messaging, and I have changed my messaging to reflect that. It's like, do you want to do the work? Then I can help you get there.
Yeah.
And that has definitely helped. Like, And
it's so interesting because a lot of people, like, you know, because you're kind of talking about the energy behind it, and it's like, the thing is, you choose your messaging at the end of the day.
Right.
No one is telling you this is what your messaging is. You pick what you say, you pick how your brand looks, you pick what you post on social media. And so don't tell me that how you feel about yourself isn't going to like show up in your reality.
100%.
And sometimes people are like, oh, that's like very woo-woo, very like esoteric concepts, whatever. But it's like, no, you think the way you think about yourself, that comes out on paper as to how you speak about your brand. That then attracts the type of people that you're attracting. So it all starts with how you actually think about yourself. And if you don't value yourself, if you're not worthy, then you're like, as you were saying, you're selling people and you're like, oh, here's a quick fix and a cheap thing. Let's just come on board. So it manifests into reality like very quickly. It's not, we're not talking about like, you know, crazy spiritual woo-woo stuff here. It's like literal, like how you feel.
your thoughts are what you do.
Yeah. And so like what was the first step then in like you feeling like the worthiness and the value in what you're doing to be able to speak like that and to be able to project that version of you?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a really hard question.
Yeah, it is.
And the reason the reason I find it quite hard is because I am very logical, and so when I think of things, I'm like, why wouldn't I do that? Or why would I do that? Whereas when I'm thinking about the way I feel about certain things, it's very difficult for me to answer those questions because I don't actually know. Like, I'm just a doer. I just do the stuff that makes sense, and I think all of those things make sense to, like, talking, doing affirmations and things like that. Those things make sense to me because I feel that they work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, can I share a reflection, like looking at, like, so I think you, as you said, you are logical, but the thing is, when you take actions and you repeat actions, you start to embody that.
Yes.
So it's not even something you have to think about. And so I guess, like, you took the right actions, like we worked together, we had a plan, and then you started to do it, even though you were, and that's, I think, something that's like such a credit to you, is that you do take actions even when it doesn't feel right. Because I can give you all the strategies under the sun, but you still have to actually do it. And so I did give you the strategy, and there was still resistance coming up, but you still did it. And it wasn't an overnight thing, but you did it, and then you did it again, and then you did it again, and now it's like becoming your reality,
That's true.
And so it's having, and then it starts to build confidence too, right? Because you get a client for the higher price point, and it's like, oh, like, they actually value me.
And I can see the results of that as well.
Yeah.
And I can work more closely with those clients, so I can see those results quicker and easier.
Yeah.
And they're the people who do actually want to do the work. So it benefits everyone, I think.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely does. And so when we look back to, like, so we've kind of talked about the pricing, the messaging. Then when we look at, like, putting yourself out there with using, marketing, like using a funnel, using paid ads, that, I think, takes it to another level again, because you're like, oh my goodness, this is getting out to people I don't know.
Yes.
Like, who's going to see this? I can't control who's seeing this. Like, it's a whole, and the thing is as well, like, just to note, the way that I teach paid ads, it's very much low risk, low cost. It's not like we're, spending 10 grand building a crazy funnel. It's just like using a small budget to start experimenting and getting out in front of a new audience, which is obviously very beneficial, as you know, but it does come with this, like, who's going to see it?
Yes, exactly. I think it comes back to betting on yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest challenges for me, I think, is always I'm worried about people not liking me. And it comes back to, I have this story from when I was in high school, and there was a group of girls who didn't like me very much, and I confronted them and I said, what, like, you're not, they weren't bullying me or anything, but they weren't nice, right? And I just said, why don't you like me? And they said, because we just don't. And I was like, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, you have to have a reason. And they're like, no, we just don't. And I was like, I think that was kind of I reflect on that quite a bit, because not because I'm worried about that situation, but because it's a reminder to say, you're not for everyone. Like, and it goes to the point about the messaging earlier, and what you're putting out there, and you are saying who you are to people. And I think you're going to attract the people who are aligned with that, but you're also going to repel the people who aren't aligned with that. And that's okay. And that's something that I've had to, I still have to think about, I consciously remind myself of things like that, where it's like, it's okay to put things out there and people not to like it, because they're just not your client, or they're not in the place where they need those things.
Yeah, exactly. And people are going to judge you one way or another.
Exactly.
So why not just get judged for who you actually are? But I think people feel safer projecting a different image, because then if someone doesn't like that image, it's like, okay, well, that's
that wasn't me.
So it's safe,
yes.
it feels safer. But it's like, that's not going to really, you're not really fully putting yourself out there then. You're really
100%.
not, you're kind of faking it a little bit. And there's like a fine line there, because you do obviously want to, like, the whole fake it till you make it, like, you want to just take action even when you don't feel it, but it's about, like, what is true for you, and knowing that, like, that is, like, why spread a fake message? Do you know what I mean? Like, if we take it back to, like, your purpose, or like why you're on this planet, to help people or whatever, like, why share something that's not even really going to help because you
Yes.
think someone might like it. Like I'd prefer to help two people that like genuinely resonate with my story, that I can really make an impact with, than like this fake vanilla whatever that like people are like, yeah, that's cool.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And so with the ads, because obviously the other thing that you're doing is you're betting on yourself, like you're, you know, spending some money, like even if it is cheap, you're still spending a little bit of money and you're like, oh my, like, so, you know, what was the journey like there with just like, you know, as an accountant, especially with like taking, you know, a calculated risk and like investing in yourself?
I think for me it wasn't a risk because I don't know if that's a weird thing to say, but I am a person who likes investing in myself, and I don't mean necessarily just ads. I mean making sure that I'm continually evolving and growing. And so to me, it was just another step in that process. You know, I wanted to take the bet and I wanted to prove that I could do what I'm doing, and I have done that. I think it wasn't a risk to me. It was like this is worth it. This is an investment, and I'm confident it would return that investment.
Yeah. And it's a learning too, I think. Like what's so fascinating when we start doing like some ads, because a lot of people think, oh, it's like you have to just, you know, it's just to get leads and you have to put all this money in. But it can also be kind of market research. And I think some of that helped you figure out what your messaging was, right? And so I think for anyone listening, it could be really useful to experiment with this, because you can actually like if you are kind of like someone that you're like, okay, well, I know I'm an accountant and that's what I want to do, but there's a zillion accountants and I think maybe this is my audience, but it also could be this person, but also maybe this is the pain point. You can use ads to literally test that messaging, and you could have 3 or 4 different variations testing like the types of people, for example, and you'll see within a couple of days which is getting more impact, which is getting more clicks, which is getting more views, and it can help inform what your messaging actually is, which I think is a game changer for people that do that. And a lot of people don't look at it like that, but because also when you're trying to like test your messaging organically, it's like you're starting to confuse your audience because you're saying all these different things.
And I think you confuse yourself as well.
Like,
I quite often post things and I'm like, I don't know. Even now I still, you post something and like no one resonated with that. And it's like, okay, note for next time. You know, it's still, it's a continual learning curve, I think.
It is. And to like bring it back to a tangible example for you, like with the messaging, it was kind of like, you know, there was one version that was, because obviously everything you do is with numbers, it was around like the feelings of shame that a lot of business owners might have around their numbers. And then there was another one that was something else. Like, do you remember what the other versions were?
No.
Yeah, anyway, but very quickly, you know, so let's say one was
I thought
shame.
that one was going to win.
Yeah, and then like let's just say another one was like all around
I think
getting more profit, or another one was like saving for taxes, for example. And like, very quickly we could see, okay, people are really resonating with like they feel this shame around the numbers, they want to like fix them.
Yes.
So that was really interesting. And then obviously diving into that a bit more, we were looking at like not making it too around pain point, because you also don't want to attract people that are like totally broke that you can't help.
Yes,
so it's kind of like, then it was like, okay, let's shift our messaging a little bit again. So shame is winning out, but let's say you're a successful business owner, however you still don't know where all the profit is going and you feel a little bit of shame. So it's like there's nuance there as well that comes into it. But I think it can be really fun. It's kind of like a game after a while, right?
Yeah, it is. Particularly when you're looking at the analytics and things behind it and seeing, you know, what is attracting the right people. The other thing I find really useful is using the more you work with clients, the more you hear their language and understand where they're coming from, and then their changes in language, which is exactly what we're talking about today with me. Like, you've seen that in me, I see that in my clients as well. It's like, how do they start the journey, and then how do they want the journey to end up? And that's kind of after you've been working with someone, this is the kind of language they use later. So I found that really useful. But looking at the analytics behind what works well, I think, like you said, it's like gamifying it becomes more than what are you just posting. It's about, hey, this is, you know, which one's going to win, you know, that type of thing. And a bit of a dopamine hit.
It is, and it just helps give you that clarity, you know, for a lot of people are kind of stumbling around in the dark, you know. Okay, cool. So I'd love to know, what are, say, like if someone's listening and they really want to grow their brand, but they're back in that place that you were, where they've tried all these things, they've tried outsourcing, they've tried, you know, things that haven't worked, and they're really wanting to make their business work. Like, what are 3 tangible things that you would tell them to do?
One is bet on themselves. Like, you are the business. Even a lot of people think it's the work, which it is, but to get the work in the first place, you need to. People work with people. Like they don't work with they're going to work with you because they like you and they can see what you can provide. What was the question again?
The three things. Three things that you would tell someone.
Three things that I would tell someone about working on the business. One is checking your numbers all the time, me as a numbers nerd, because you don't know what's working. A lot of the times you feel like something is supposed to work this way or this way, but without looking, whether it's analytics behind your ad posts or whether it's your physical financials, like if you're not checking that all the time, you don't know how to make good decisions in your business, because you could be betting on the wrong thing just because you think it feels like that one is the right thing to be doing. Yeah. Back it up with numbers. Another thing.
And how, like, even instead of going into another thing, because that one's like a really good point, and it kind of ties into what my philosophy as well around just having like one offer and simplicity, because I definitely noticed like back when I had a service-based business and like all these different services, like there was it was kind of hard to even understand how much profit there was in each certain job, because scope creep and like different contractors, different employees, etc. So even like just understanding that, you can even look at what's selling the most, what's highest profit, combined with what you actually want to do, and create an offer that's like one thing that makes it so much easier as well. So it kind of ties back full circle.
Yeah, 100%. And I find that every day still running an accounting practice and then having this one offer over here, how much simpler that is. And how much... I also feel like how I'm actually providing a lot more value in this one offer than I do working one-on-one with clients in the accounting practice, just because your time is so much more spread out. There's lots of things happening, lots of, so I think, the one offer is definitely a way to go.
And for anyone listening, I think as well, that's like wanting to grow their business, it's a great place to start, is like just thinking about what that one offer is that is just a no-brainer that people really want. Because also, like, as we know, part of showing up is just having the time to even do it. Like posting on social media, like you need time to actually do it, to grow your brand, to build your audience, to run ads, whatever it might be. And so if you're spread out way too thin across like multiple different services, multiple different offerings, not even knowing if they're profitable, you're not working in your zone of genius. As you said, you're not even like delivering that well for your clients. So you might think, oh, like I need to bend over backwards for everyone to do everything custom because that's how I'm giving most value. But as you're just saying, that's not, because you're doing all of this stuff outside of your zone of genius.
That's right.
Whereas when you simplify, have one simple offer, not only can you spend way more time personalizing things with your clients, giving them feedback and strategy, because all of the kind of routine things are covered in, like, say, the program, but it also frees up time to work on your brand, put out content, to actually do the things. So sometimes it's also about like revisiting the business model, in terms of if you're not really prioritizing your brand and you're really not spending the time actually building it, it's like free up that time as well. Have more energy. How can we like show up and feel vibrant and feel energetic if we're like glued to our phone, deadlines coming in, like everyone's like urgent, like so stressful. Then the last thing you're going to feel like is like, I'm going to record a reel.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Maybe that's why I have so much trouble recording my reels
now.
I always have to like set aside a specific time and get in the zone. This is where you put up your old agency model, and there's like all these people all over the place, and then it's like, okay, this is my model now. And it's like 3 things that I work on, and you can just provide so much more value.
So much more value. And I think it all, to like bring it all full circle, it all comes back to that, like how we see ourselves, our worth, because it's like how you show up online, your messaging, but it's also like, do I feel the need to slave away in order to be worthy, or can I be worthy and be valuable by my knowledge, by my expertise, by helping people? And so that's kind of like some of the inner work that you have to do, which manifests in how you structure your business and manifests in the messaging in your business.
That's exactly what I've been doing the last 6 months. And it's a journey. Like it's not a closed book. It's continuous,
Yeah, Yeah, amazing. Well, I've got 3 rapid fire questions
Okay.
to finish up. They're actually probably not even that rapid fire because they're a bit more deep and meaningful, but we'll see.
Oh
we'll
no,
see
don't
how
do
it
deep
goes.
and meaningful with me.
Okay. What is one thing that people can do, and this is funny asking a logical person,
Yeah.
to connect more deeply with their purpose?
With their purpose. There's a couple of things that I have done that I think have been really useful for me, which are a little bit woo-woo and less logical.
Okay, I love it. I'm here for that.
One of the things I've done is where I do a bit of a meditation and then do like a 10-year dream life kind of plan. And so I do that every 6 months or so, where I kind of just think about what I want. No, I don't look at anything in between, but just where do I want to be in 10 years' time? And just list out those things. And I do that with my partner. I get him to do it as well.
I love that.
And separately. And then we check them and go, okay, what matches?
Well,
Let's work on those
I'm in
things.
LA and you're in
Yeah.
the UK.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So we look at the things that line up, and then we're like, okay, and then the things that are the UK, the London, whatever, we talk about those ones.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
who wins?
they're talking points.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, that I do. The other thing I do is a bit of manifestation that I do in the morning. So that's probably another thing. And I don't know, just do the things, like be an action taker.
Yeah.
Because like I say that with Jess because I'm an action taker, but the more you do something, it just becomes ingrained to who you
build
are.
that self-trust as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And even just if I talk about posting on social media, the more I do that, the easier it gets. I don't know, like, as in, it's not easier in that the results are easier, but it's easier for me because I'm not overthinking it. I'm just like, it's just another day of another post. Like, just say what you want to say and then, okay, do the next one,
Yes. And if you're choosing that identity, like I'm an online coach, so online coaches post on social media versus I need to post,
Yes.
It's like,
Correct.
instead of being like, I need to run, it's like, I'm a marathon runner.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like embodying that persona.
And I actually never say that I need to go post something. Like, I actually don't do that. It just is, you know?
Yeah. It's part of
and
part of your-
and you just build it out into your life as well. It's
yeah.
like, if you're doing, like, anytime I'm doing something, I'll just like do a quick voice note to say, hey, remember this for next time.
Yeah.
Hey, remember this for next time. And so
making
I'm,
a part of your day to day.
Yeah. So I'm just constantly thinking about the process and looking forward.
Yeah.
And this is what I teach in businesses as well is, don't do something now just because you have to get it done. Do it now thinking about what's in the future. Like, prepare yourself so that if you do it now, you can do it 10 more times without you having to do that same amount of effort.
Yeah, you
It's
love
like
that.
always looking forward, always, where to. Always where to.
100%.
Yeah.
Even this podcast, which is like a new podcast for me, I've got like a Notion board and I've got like an SOP. This is how I want to edit the trailer. This is how I want to edit this. So it's taking me ages to get the first episode done, but then it's like a template that's like,
repeatable.
And makes such a difference. I agree. What is one thing that people can do to better look after their mental health?
Gym.
Love
That's mine
it.
anyway.
Lifting, heavy lifting. You lift heavy as well. I love it.
Lift heavy weights.
Yes, love
That's
it. And what is one thing that someone can do for their visibility, to increase their visibility?
Get out there. Like, you can't, if you're not going to post things, if you're not going to talk to people on podcasts like I'm here today, if you're not going, like, no one sees you when you're sitting at your desk or behind, like when you're serving your clients, no one sees that. And so if no one sees you, how do they know you? How do you serve them better?
Exactly. And I love that. And it's like, don't wait for an invitation as well. Just get out there, because it's really hard to create content just like, at your desk at home. Just go there, be amongst it, and then it's like a byproduct of what you do. And amazing. And how can people find you? How can people connect with you and get all of your wisdom?
I am on Instagram and LinkedIn. Lauren at Lauren Finance Mentor.
Yeah, and I'll link it in the show notes and everything as well.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you for having
much
me.
for coming today. It's so nice to just like see the evolution of your brand and all the big moves that you've been making.
It's
and
nice to reflect.
yeah, and I know it's literally just only getting started for you as well.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.